Alright everybody, hey, welcome. This is our lecture for this week. I'm going to show you some beginning, easy, simple, get around navigation tips and tricks for Final Cut Pro 10. Some of this we went over in class and I'll try to make that part quick, and then I'll show you a couple of other extra new things that will make getting around a little bit easier. And while I'll be showing you actual keystrokes and some other things, a lot of this does pertain to just about any other nonlinear editor. And it's just a matter of how you can operate within whatever editor it is and how to best tell your story or get along. So I'll show you a lot of navigational type of things. Cool. We'll recap by saying this over here is your event library. This is where all of your files land per project. Notice I have several projects here. One called Cliff Causey. I'll tap on that and you will see this is our GoPro video, some backflips that we did. Here's something that we did in class, right? So we have several different things to look at there. That's our asset. Here in the center is our viewer window. It shows us everything that we're viewing. Here's our project window. I am in an actual project. If I hit this button, where do I go? Right, project library, where you'll see a lot of other things that I've done that may look somewhat familiar to you. Good. I'll go back into the new project I started. Remember, if you want to start a new project from this project library, it's this plus sign to start a new one. And then I will show you something that I did not show you in class, but I think you might have figured out by now. The inspector helps you to understand each of your clips. It's turned on and off by this slider tab here. It gives me a lot more real estate if it's off. But if it's on, I get a lot more information. So if I click my clip here, I go over look at my inspector. It tells me everything about the clip. Name, duration, how it's set up, what the audio setting is on this tab. Info gives you all sorts of codec and size stuff that sometimes you may need. And then if I need to share it directly, I can set some attributes for this one clip. But again, this is raw stuff over here, so I'll leave that set on the video tab. And remember, that's my inspector that I can make disappear when I don't want it. And then down here I have my project timeline. And this pop-out window, notice if I click what's blue, it disappears, comes back. There's some generators. This is some actual full themes, so these are all kinds of things. Themes, if you want your stuff to all look the same with an in and out and transitions and things, they'll match here into this theme. The ones that you'll probably be using this semester is T, the title browser. Lots of great titles in there. I'm selecting lower thirds, so I'm only seeing what we call lower thirds, right? Or I have my build in, build out. Some of you have found already. And or I just sort it with all, and I don't filter anything out. I just grab them alphabetically. Be like, oh, that's neat. I'll use that. So that's my title browser. Again, pop out, pop in. Next to that is my transition browser. Transitions. We'll have a whole discussion on this, I'm sure, but there are several transitions that really have no purpose in life. Like this, brother. Yeah. So, have fun, enjoy them, explore them. Don't do them on your projects, I will cry. There's a lot of them that just don't have a purpose. They're fun to see and to use, they look neat, but in an actual project, there's not a lot that they do to drive the story, right? Every once in a while, I'll use a cube spin. I feel like it's still kind of cool enough that it can, ride on its own. I never use any of these kind of bands or checkers or anything like that. So, fun to play with. Use them at your own peril. Next to that, audio, music, and sound. And this gives me a chance to look through Final Cut sound effects, which there are a lot. iLife sound effects, which if the computer has it, there's quite a few there. Anything from GarageBand, anything from iTunes library. So you can kind of jump in and grab these things. Like if I want to go to explosions, I can come here and listen to a few. I thought it was going to play for me. Alright, so I just slowed it down. There it is. You heard it for just a bit there. Neat. So you can play with those types of sound effects. Some of them you have heard before. Wow. Okay, next one over. Photos, same thing. Digs through your picture file, gives you a browser of all of the photos that you have access to on your machine. It's taking a while to load up, but it's looking at my iPhoto library, and it's giving me tons of things. Next to that, effects, or filters as I call them, effects. Again, you can filter them out and say, show me the basic ones, show me just the ones that have to do with blur, show me some custom ones that you've imported. Here are some distortion ones. And these effects apply to your clips, like aged paper effect. You drag it straight from here onto a clip, and your clip will look like it is on aged paper. You want a drop shadow on something, you drag this on, gives it a drop shadow. Okay, pretty simple. Those are all effects. So again, click the blue and it disappears. This one here is for retiming. I've always been fond of saying, let me throw something down on the timeline so you can see it. And I'll park my playhead there so you can see it. See how it lights up. I've always been fond of calling this guy the blue Smurf with the headset. It looked like it's a Smurf head with a little microphone coming out. Hey, Popper Smurf. I was wondering. Anyway, it's actually retiming, so it's like some sort of speedometer thing. You can change clip speeds here. Again, there's purpose for this. There's a reason for this. We don't want to just willy-nilly jump in and start flipping around the time on our clips. And then this magical wand here we can use for color enhancement, but again, we might do that later on. So I wanted to show you what all of those things do. The ones that you'll use often are this inspector, and obviously the share, and probably the title and transitions. Okay, so now that we're kind of that far along, and we're already 6 minutes into this video, let's get to the good stuff. You already know how to drop things down, so I'm going to grab a couple of these and tap the E key, in which I drop them down into my timeline, just so we have something to use. There we go. These are great. Okay, now that I'm down here, watch everywhere I click that timeline, that playhead follows me. When I hit spacebar, it plays. Really cool, right? Click here, bam, it's going to start playing. So I can skim, and I can like mark that playhead anywhere I want. If I'm skimming and hit spacebar to play, it'll start from where my skim head is, right, and move forward from there. Easy. Other ways to get around down here. Left arrow, right arrow. We talked about that 1 frame at a time. Shift arrows, 10 frames at a time. Pop, 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 pop. I'm just holding down shift and tapping the arrow. Okay, or arrows 1. The other one is up and down. Does an edit point at a time. So I'm just doing up and down keys so I can really get around. And then one last one I'm going to show you is the JKL key. L operates kind of like the space bar.
So does it just start again?
And K is the stop. So you almost think of it as like a gas pedal. Like L goes forward, K stops, J goes backwards, K stops. So I toggle back and forth between J, K, L a lot, usually landing on K to stop. The neat thing about JKL is that you can actually get it to play double and triple speed. So if you want to listen to something faster or get somewhere faster, you tap L twice, 3 times, 4 times, whoop, and we're racing to the end, right? I hit the end and came back to the beginning. So L.
So does it just start again?
Stop with K, J. Right. So it operates much like a shuttle or a jog that you might have used if you were, I don't know, editing 10 years ago. So there you go. Lastly, I will show you some stuff about navigating down here. You want to know where you are on the timeline. I showed you Command plus and Command minus, remember? That's our zooming in and zooming out. You always want to know where you are on your timeline. So watch this gray bar down here because this will show you. Sometimes I'll have people start here and they'll start making clips and dragging them down, and they just disappear. Right? Where did it go? I had this great clip and it didn't stick. Notice where you are. You've got to be cognizant of where you are in the timeline. And there are those exact clips. They just magneted back to the beginning. Nice and easy. So again, Command plus and minus will get you in and out, as will this slider. Showed you that. Slider. And my favorite, which I mentioned briefly, Shift Z. Takes whatever space you have, fills it in front to end. There you go. I can also tell you that home and end will move your playhead to the very beginning and the very end. I'm on a smaller keyboard, so I actually have to hit function left and function right on this keyboard to mimic home and end. But that's some quick stuff. Okay, From here, I'm going to hit up a couple of quick things. Oh, let me hit snapping and editing first, and then I'm going to go back into that inspector and show you a couple of things. Here's snapping and editing down here in the timeline. I brought a couple of pieces down. I like them. They work for me. Yeah, let's do another one. Let's put this one down in here. I'm going to drag it, and I'm going to hover for a second until it pops open and gives me a space to put it. I'm going to look at some of these. Let's say I find a clip, and I just think it's too wiggly. I can grab the edge of it and stretch it out to the end. Grab this edge and stretch it out to the beginning, and try and decide if there's something in there that works for me. Maybe, yeah, it's not too bad. Yeah. So I'll put my playhead here just by clicking off to the clip, and it stays there while I click the beginning and kind of move up towards it, and it snaps onto it. So I use it as almost like a guide, like if I were, cutting things with scissors or something, I'd be like, okay, this is no good. So I'm actually going to get rid of that because it's so wobbly. It's out of there. This first part's wobbly, but it starts to straighten up right here. So I'm going to put my playhead right there. Okay, so I'm parking it there. Come to the beginning of the clip, click down, and just slide it up to that point. Beautiful thing about editing is that it's all about where you make that edit. It's about what you cut out. If I have shaky shots, or if I have a piece that just feels like it's up too long, I leave that on the cutting room floor, and I come and find the precise, concise story that I want to tell. All right, so nice and easy. I can adjust the length of these. If this one came in too short, I can pull it out longer. Or if the part that I grabbed was just way too shaky, I can find the part that works better for me, or get rid of it altogether. Snapping, just in brief, is this button right here. And what snapping does is, let's say for instance I have a title. This is a good way to show it. I'll grab a title, click drag, drop it over. We did this with our audio 1 and 2. But notice that when I hit edit points, I get this big yellow bar that's like, oh, you're lined up, and you're lined up. That's handy. That's called snapping. Shortcut key for snapping is N. So if I turn that off, now I drop that thing anywhere, right? I mean, it shows me what frame I'm on, but I can also drop it and be a couple of frames off, especially if I'm working in this realm where I'm not very zoomed in very far at all. I may drop something and think that it's lined up, and if I were to zoom in, I'd find out that really I was off by several frames if I meant to hit here. So turning on snapping with that N key, or clicking this button to turn snapping on, I can be sure that it's landing at the right spot. So bam. We've talked about navigating around your storyline using JKL and arrows to get around faster, zooming in and out, and snapping. We talked about all the right side buttons. Wow. We got one last thing I want to talk about, and I'm going to blow this out with a delete just to get started. And I'm going to use my favorite key, Shift Z, so I see everything that's on my timeline. Alright, I really like this mushroom, so I'm going to park my playhead on top of it, and I'm going to highlight that clip and come over to my inspector. Remember the sliders? It'll slide out, and look at all the options that I have under video. I have tons of options under video. What I want to show you are three things: transform, crop, and distort. It's how you can kind of adjust things. It works really well if we have like still pictures. Did we grab any still pictures on this one? We didn't. But I'll show you with the mushroom. You can get to them here if you like the numbers. For instance, I can start dragging things here right now and crop a picture. Oh, boom, boom, boom. And I'm not one for black holes, so I'm probably not going to do that. I can hit this little reset arrow, all comes back to good. There's also another way to do that, and that's right here. Every clip in this viewer can be affected, if it's yellow, if it's highlighted, by choosing one of these three things: transform, crop, or distort. I'll start with crop. If I turn on crop, trim lets me grab things and trim down a certain spot. Notice it's doing the math stuff over here for me. I'm just doing it with a user interface on this side. Again, I'm going to reset that. That's trim style. There's one in the middle here called crop. Crop does a little differently. I can come in, crop down, and say, this is the part I want to see. That's a crop. That's the part I want to see. And when I hit done, boom, it fills up the whole screen. So it brings that part to the front, and all the rest of the picture is on the outside of my viewer, so I will never see it. But I certainly did crop that Again, here's the settings. Difference being that I didn't slice off edges, I brought that spot forward. Again, reset that. Notice I can change these here as well. Trim, crop, kin burns. Turn it on so you can see it. Trim, crop, kin burns. We talked about kin burns briefly in one of the classes, but it's a method or a technique used to move through a still image. Very easy to apply kin burns here in Final Cut. I don't really want to see it in the audio slideshow. I'll repeat myself. I don't really want to see kin burnsing in the audio slideshow, but I will show you how it's done because it can be an effective storytelling tool for other assignments, and that is you set a start point and an end point for any clip, i.e. the red is the end. I can set it up and I can say that's important right there, and my start is actually full screen right now. It feels like it's in a pretty good spot, but I could start it anywhere. And then I can, if I'm done, it'll set it up, or if I just want to play through it, I can click over here and watch it. If that was a still picture, it would start at one place and go to another. So I'm hit space to stop it. And I'll show you can actually do this where your start shows a totally different thing than your end, right? And then when I play that one back, it's going from one side to the other side. Okay, stop. And I'm going to actually say done. And then it tells me down here, this orange bar right here, by the way, tells me it's rendering. It's got to think about it. And it has that move built into it now. That kin burns is built in. If I hold my mouse still for just 5 seconds, watch the render circle we talked about in class. See how it's rendering up? And it's writing that file. So it's making a file to match this. And it's saying, hey, here's what we're doing. All right, I'm going to blow that out. Other one I'll show you real quick on this. Let's do it on this one. I'm going to park my playhead, highlight it in yellow, come over and hit the transform button. So I'm just turning the transform on, and usually it's just a click like that. What I can do here is I can shrink the picture or make it bigger. Right, so I'm just grabbing one of the handles and I can make it bigger. I grab the corner and so it's staying in perspective. I can even grab one side or the other if I want to get it, way crazy. But that's my transform, and I can put something off at a different place and say, you know what, you belong here. And then when we get to that footage, that's where it stays. If I'm stacking this on top of something else, notice that's where it stays, but I can see underneath of it as well. That's the beauty of video. We'll start doing layers and other things, but I just wanted you to see that that is where transform is. That's how we crop as well. And distort gets a little more crazy. Oh, but look at this. I turned on distort, but I'm not seeing any blue buttons or anything affecting, there's nothing I can touch here, even though I turned it on. The reason why is because it's on the selected clip. I've got to move my playhead, which is what I'm seeing here, over to the selected clip. As soon as I move it over here, there's my distort stuff. Right? That's where it is. I can come over and reset all these and say, you know what, let's not do anything crazy. Now I can turn off my distort or turn it on, and because I'm actually parked on the clip that's selected, I can see those. Distort is this way. Crazy! Yeah, I don't know why we'd want to do that, so delete that. Okay, wow, have I just told you just about everything I can tell you in 15 minutes, almost 20 minutes? Whew, I believe I have. There's lots more to come. One thing I want to hit up for a lot of you that are going to be working on your audio slideshows. By the way, I just highlighted everything and hit the delete key, cleared it out. One thing I want to tell you guys that are working on your audio slideshows still is that when you build your initial part, it says so in the assignment guide, there's a reason why I said build the audio first. So here, I'm going to show you a fake audio. I just changed that to drop audio only. I'm going to bring in some audio files. On yours, you'll have an interview, and you'll sit there and you'll listen and say,
So does it just start again?
yeah, that's a good soundbite. Tap I for my endpoint. Listen to her say that. So does it just start again?
So does it just start again?
Yeah, it's good. I like that. It's a good soundbite. O for out. Drag it down. You want to build your audio down here in the bottom of the main primary timeline, and you want your audio there. Build the audio portion first. Bring the pictures in after. This is key. I had to help a couple of people with this. So much easier if you have your audio portion in first. Here's another one.
Do it again, do it again.
Great. Do it again, do it again. Grab that, bring it down. So we're telling that story. So whatever you do for an interview or however you do it, it needs to come in audio first. And then what you're going to do is you can bring this back into all, and then you can find some of those still shots. And we have lots of shots here. You'll be finding stills. Again, you'll grab a couple of seconds of it, bring it down, and now you can hover it across the top and adjust its timing here. Find the next shot, bring it down. It's connecting. Notice that really cool blue line that's just showing me where it's pinning itself to. It's showing me, it's snapping is showing me that I'm right up against the other one. This is the proper way to build an audio slideshow. Okay, nice and easy.
So does it just start again?
Do it again.
Okay, you're gonna build that all the way out to minute and 30, and the key is that you build that audio first because that's your primary storyline. That's what's driving the story. If we were doing a music video or something else, this music is it. It is a nice little Beastie Boys 3-minute rule. If I'm building a music video, often you start with that primary story. What's the primary storyline? Again, if this pops up, most of the stuff we do is 1080 by 1920 and 1080 and 30p. So when it dropped in audio, it's trying to guess because audio does not have a size in a square format. And so I just say, this is what I'm building. And that's what you should probably build on most of yours as well. 1080, 1920, 30p. Cool. So there's my primary audio. If I hit spacebar, nice. Now my picture is going to be driven by that primary sound, that audio. And so that's going to stay in the primary line, and I will add anything and all things that I need on top of it. Thanks, dude. Nice and easy, right? So these are just popping in on top of it, and they're going to match the audio. That's because this shouldn't move or change. Now, we will talk in our next section how to set some markers and some beats, and so you could tap out the beat to a song in real time and have places for these things to snap to. But we'll cover that another day. As for now, I think you've got enough to keep you busy for some time. Hope you took a lot of notes, and I hope it kind of gets you a little bit more comfortable with how to move things around and put them into Final Cut to start building some things. It's all about telling that story, pacing, and knowing your tools. So hopefully this will help you do just that. Thanks for listening. Rock on, one and all.